Okay guys, back out here for a minute. We will be coming back here in a little while to work on this. Whoops, this. But being a Rambler guy, you guys know that most of the stuff I deal with is used. Used fenders, used whatever. Yeah, I mean, you watched all the used parts. You watch how I have to recondition the parts. You watched how my used parts cost more than Chevy's new parts. You watched how everything has to be redone, refitted, reground, epoxied, welded, put back together to get something that's worth half the value when it's done. If that. So that's why when we roll into a cruise night show, you know, not everything is that over restored car that you see parked next to us, which brings us down. You know what I mean? If you went back into the earlier days, you know, we would have had a fair shot. But now that all this stuff is repopped and most of your car is 90% China, but shinier, it's hard for us to compete. But with that said, I've been working the last couple of days on the intake for Ruben. I had this intake shipped here because I didn't want to send it to him looking like a bag of shit. I hunted down a certain intake. Okay. And this is what it looks like with some of the parts that I reconditioned for this car. But just to give a visual, and I will give my recommendation on what carburetor I think belongs on this intake for the setup that Ruben has. But here it is in a nutshell. Okay. This still has to be wiped down. That's what it looks like in a nutshell. If you guys remember what it looked like before. Okay. What do we have on here? We have the 750 double pumper. Four corner idle circuit. This was the carburetor that we did for Junior. We got a Barry Grant 125 shot nitrous plate. Thin style, 3/8 of a plate, 3/8 of an inch plate on there. I just threw 2 studs in there just to center everything. See, it does accept both styles. I put a new nipple on there, and I think the thing looks pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. This is the paint I used on my intake. It's still actually drying. There's still some sheeny spots on it. I know I wasn't supposed to say shiny, I meant to say sheen. To me, it's the closest thing to a nice new aluminum thing, and it doesn't look too silvery when you see it in person. I think Ruben liked the intake, that's why I chose the color again. What would I recommend in the long run as time goes on? I'd recommend a 1-inch spacer and a Carter 600 or slash Edelbrock 600 for Ruben's car. I think that would be the ideal carburetor setup for him. I think it would give him the most power and give him the most punch out of the hole. Quadrajets are a little, And we used to say it was like flushing a toilet bowl when you whacked it to the floor. You saw your gas gauge move. You heard a lot of noise, but you didn't really go anywhere. So they're good around town. They're good for a decent amount of economy because the primaries are so small, so it gives you a little more drivability. But when you whack it to the floor, the secondaries may open, but until the top plate opens, it doesn't really feed the air or the fuel. And since the primaries are so small and the secondaries are so big, when you punch it to the floor, by the time the secondaries start to open, you lost that kick in the ass feel. A Carter AFB, which stands for aluminum 4-barrel, works pretty much on the same principle, kinda, but the primaries are much bigger and the secondaries are much smaller. So when you whack it to the floor, you're initially getting more CFM in, so you get the kick in the pants, and they seem to open up pretty quick. Double pumper, if he was going to put a double pumper on there, which I wouldn't see why he would, but if for some reason he would, I'd step it all the way down to like a 600. Even though the Quadrajet that he has is either a 750 or an 850, I got to look at it. So, vacuum secondary Holleys, I'm not the biggest fan of those. My feeling is if you're going to go that way, I would either just stick with the Quadrajet or a Carter. I don't see the purpose in like that little 600 vacuum secondary. But that's just my opinion. We'll see what happens down the road. We got next winter to work on the car also. I just wanted to show you guys the finished product and what it looks like. And every piece here that you see has been reconditioned right to the carburetor, as you guys know. So, trying to get my hands on a couple more 750s. So I know somebody that has a pair of 750s. They're not matching. They are double pumpers. One's dog leg, one's annual discharge. That's the booster Venturis. See, these are dog leg. The other ones are both ways. But they're the original gold or dichromate color, which I prefer over this. I don't really, as you guys know, I don't really like the shiny crap. So, but with that said, I figured I'd show you guys this. And just another note real quick. I know my videos become long. This has to be a pretty early intake because they didn't write Street Dominator on it. They didn't write Contender on it. And the ones I've found so far that say Street Dominator on it or Contender don't have the snowflake in the back. And if anybody can think back or look back, when we did the Garage Gang raffle years ago for the party, the manifold that Mark put up was this manifold with Contender written on it. So I just figured to let you guys know that. So that's it, finished. I think it came out good. I think Ruben's gonna be happy. This is not an EGR, just so everybody knows. That is for the bimetallic spring, or the two tubes coming down there to warm it when you suck the air in. And this manifold was made in 1974. So, okay guys, I'm gonna, man, it'd be kind of tight to get the nipple in there, but for 125 horse, you'd figure it out. Figure it out. So with that, guys, that's it. Everybody have a good day. I'm going to put this in the back of the wagon where the wagon is being stored, so this will be the last video on this until Ruben bolts it on. So take care, guys. It's been fun. I'm glad I did it. There you go, Ruben. It's sleep until you need it. Okay. That's the same paint.